I did glance at the resolution. I guess I do have a few concerns with it. Number one, it doesn't talk about what happens to the previous. I believe there were two. I don't know if one was done by motion and one was done by resolution. I know the previous one was done by resolution, but I think there was one prior to that that was done by motion. I think the resolution needs to point to those, reference those, and say that they're being rescinded and that this resolution is taking its place. Because it's not clear. It almost seems like this is a third censure resolution, which I believe it is not. So I think we need to make that clear. The other thing I am concerned about is in the second whereas paragraph, it talks about how repeated unauthorized release of protected confidential information to the press, others, which puts the city at great risk. I guess I don't have any conclusive evidence that Mr. Bloyer did these things, and by saying this in the resolution, I think the council as a group is making an admission on behalf of the city, and that concerns me for the city's liability purposes and any potential litigation relating to the release of data. And then secondly, I think in number 4 of that same whereas paragraph, the disregard for previous restrictions imposed by the city council relating to a previous employee complaint meant to protect city staff from his behavior and to protect the city from potential lawsuits. I mean, I think this resolution is saying we're disciplining him for disregarding the previous restrictions, but yet we're acknowledging that we can't put restrictions on him. So I don't think that makes a lot of sense. That's my concern with that. And then as far as the recommendation part, I think that's fine. However, I mean, it's really only half a step away from, the restrictions that were imposed on him. I mean, we are just recommending, but they're not necessarily, restrictions are still sort of there. I guess my recommendation was just to remove them altogether. So those are my comments. I just looked at it quickly, and those are my thoughts.
I'd ask that you listen to the attorney and abide by it in the interest of the city, because it seems like that's what we're trying to imply here, that our mission is to protect the city.
Whereas the City Council believes it has an affirmative duty to maintain security surrounding its private confidential records and to provide a healthy, safe workplace free of the kind of behaviors Councilmember Bloyer has exhibited. Whereas the City Council has determined that Councilmember Bloyer's conduct is unbecoming of the office of Councilmember of the City of Lake Elmo, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Lake Elmo, Washington County, Minnesota, as follows: a formal censure of Councilmember Bloyer is hereby issued by the City Council for inappropriate conduct. The City Council is also recommending that Councilmember Bloyer participate in training on the handling of confidential information, including the importance of not releasing private confidential information, not taping of executive sessions, and not sharing information that was discussed in closed executive sessions of the City Council. Councilmember Bloyer not interact with any member of the city staff without another council member present, that Councilmember Bloyer direct all questions during City Council meetings to the chair, and that Councilmember Bloyer not call city staff members but instead use email to communicate. It is our understanding that these recommendations are not legally enforceable and would be voluntary on the part of Councilmember Bloyer. Recognition of the need to improve behavior and interactions and respecting and abiding by these recommended parameters will be Councilmember Bloyer's choice.
Further discussion on the motion? No, there's not going to be further discussion on the motion. Forgive me. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? No.
I'm sorry, abstain.
You abstain. Okay.